So, I'm here to talk about style guides and style guide-driven development. Anyone here developed style guides already? Oh, awesome. Cool. So, me too. Yeah, but today I will mostly focus about automating this process, why we need it, and what it can bring to us. So, here a little bit about me. So I'm currently based in Helsinki, where I work for SC5 Online. This is a consultancy company, and we bring new practices and new knowledge to our clients. And in my previous experience, I always dealt with long-running projects and user interface libraries, and so with style guide-driven development like that. And now in the current company, I'm doing the same. So, and actually everything in these things serves one purpose. It all cleans the process. And now I'll explain what I mean. So, does it look familiar? Yeah? This is what we do, yeah? The front-end developers. So actually, then a new interface appears. It's usually there are designers who do Photoshop drawings. And when it's ready, it's usually like one Photoshop file per page. It goes to HTML, CSS guy, and they create markup. It might be the same person, doesn't matter, but the roles are different. And the stages of the process are different. First mockup, then markup, and then the HTML, CSS dummy page is ready. It can be implemented in the server. And this is how it creates a product. Yeah. So I would say this is a canonical process. But let's see like a little bit more detail. So this is how we want it to happen. We have some dedicated time for mockups, then it's ready, we go to create HTML, CSS, and enrich it with JavaScript, and then some time for integration. But the problem is that this never happens this way, because usually, okay, designers need a little bit longer to create a mockup. Well, maybe we underestimate it, but usually it happens that the new requirements appear after they already have started to draw. And so we get our Photoshop files later. And again, we probably cannot start creating HTML, CSS right away because we have something else to do, and so on. But this actually doesn't matter because while we were creating HTML, CSS markup, again, new requirements appeared. And so if we throw it away, we get new mockups from designers, and okay, then we create HTML, CSS again, and it never goes to production because there is no place on the slide. And this is only the first iteration. The problem is that this process goes over and over again. Next time we need to fix something, it's again like the whole drawing or a set of drawings for different pages. And then we need to parse it like visually and to see what had been changed. And okay, these things had been changed. So, and then we start from very beginning to create the HTML, CSS, even if we need to provide slightly changes. So this comes into inconsistent visual systems because it's possible not to notice something, and inconsistent code because we may repeat ourselves, into version confusion because even if we need to make slightly changes, but in the big website or set of website, changes like let's like, let's provide design changes to all the input controls all over the website. Okay, but this, from the front-end developer perspective, this may not sound that easy because of this, many places in code where we described our inputs. And because of this process is time-consuming. But the main thing is that doesn't matter how successful we were overcoming previous challenges, the next stage, the next iteration, we get the same challenges again. So we probably had fixed the interface, but we did nothing to the process. It's again the same. So and recently, there is a movement in the front-end development now, so that people are starting to consider website not as a set of pages, but more complex systems, modular systems, which we would develop, I guess, differently, with different approaches. And because of that, we now have new techniques and methodologies to do so. So these are the CSS Modular Solutions, like object-oriented, CSS, SMAX, BAM, atomic design, doesn't matter what exactly, but they all serve the same purpose. They provide us possibility to make interface modular and create it modular. And so with using such solutions, we can divide and rule. So we can split interface into components, and each of them would have its own development process. Of course, we still can face difficulties developing them, but as they are separated, it's much easier to manage because we can delegate tasks across the team, we can easier test them, and we can easier spot something wrong in that. And then another thing is that if we have our interface as a set of components, this would be nice to see what are the components. And here people came to, actually, sorry, I messed up something. Okay, but coming to this component-driven development, it's definitely brings us the benefits, but this is not natural for us because we still consider websites as sets of pages. And okay, there is a magic world like there, but it takes something to get there. And this is a kind of cultural challenge. Yeah. And there are tools and techniques which help us. For example, it would be nice to see what are the components we can operate. And for that, people make living style guides. So the style guides, they appeared first in PDF as a way for designers to document what they do, but they were not really very helpful for us front-end developers. And now we are creating something which serves both. So a website with a list of components which are rendered with the same styles as the production website. And this is why the style guides are called living, because they reflect all the possible changes. And the next step naturally comes from it is to start develop from the style guide. So if we need a new component, we can start developing in the style guide, and then it's ready. We can bring it into our product, and it's almost zero amount of work because when we already developed it for the style guide. So I would say that this is like documentation first, but for user interfaces. So the very nice thing to do, and this is what we thought in our company that we would like to do such a thing. But again, this is a cultural challenge. And as engineers, we were thinking how we can help this to happen. And as we are engineers, we cannot change mindsets. This is what every person, the challenge which every person has to overcome themselves. But we can provide tools to help us. And this is what we do as engineers. And so in the company, we developed a tool which we call just Style Guide Generator by SC5. It's open sourced. So this is its landing page, styleguide.sc5.io. But it also has links to GitHub repository, and you can see issues and comments and so on. And I will show you like why we developed it and what are why we decided just to do a tool and what are the features we implemented and why. So first of all, we wanted it to be easy to start. So this is why it's an NPM package. And we wanted it to be applicable to as many projects as possible. So it's CSS syntax agnostic. So it supports CSS, SAS, LESS, because we don't know what is the syntax used in the upcoming project. Then we didn't want just to create another tool as there are already some existing. And so we decided to just take one existing and extend it. And we took CSS because we liked its approach so that they keep documentation in code, like GSDoc, but for CSS. They have comments before every component, and so this is how the tool gets information about what the components are. And we are using this CSS generator as a dependent package. So it's absolutely CSS compatible, and if you're already using it, you can just run our tool, and this will work without any change. And of course, as we want to make changes into the process, it should fit the process. And so the tool is gulp and grunt integrated out of box. Because if it's a separate command, no one would run it. Okay, they probably would run it once just to look what's that. But it will not fit into the process. But if it's a gulp task and it runs automatically, it's completely different story. Yeah. And so I can show you in code now how it works. So let us make it screen. So this is, should I make it bigger? Yes or no? Maybe, okay. How about that? Okay, so this is code for one project of our client. This is a library of components they are using across their websites. So here you can see CSS code. Let's go inside one of them. For example, this one. And this is that CSS syntax I referred. So it describes every component. It provides information what is the markup for the component. Then CSS code. For some components, it provides information like what are the modifications on the component and so on. So now let us run the tool again. So here it's integrated with gulp, so I run gulp style guide watch. So it gets information about the styles and runs a local server. Let's look at it. So this is the generated site. Again, it may be bigger, something like that. No. Okay. So this is the generated website, and the two parsed all the code we gave it, and it represented it as a documentation. For example, this is what we were looking at. Okay. So these are the components. Every component has its description. Then the rendered view. This is real HTML. Everything works. So look here. And the list of modifications. And every component can be opened in a full screen mode, where nothing affects it. This is very useful for UI testing of interfaces. Then the markup, exactly the same which were used for rendering these examples. And CSS code, like, just for your information. Yeah. So it generates living style guide, takes documentation from code. I really like this approach because we keep it close, and if something is changed, we can immediately reflect it in the documentation. And then another feature. Actually, even if documentation is in code, then we need to change the markup. We might suffer from it because the markup needed is represented as a plain text, and what if we decided like change text or add attribute? So it would be natural to avoid it, and so we decided to use templates. For that we used Angular directive support. Again, let's see in code. So I will show you another component, this one. And you see that as a markup, it's not HTML declared, but pseudo HTML, which Angular can understand. And then we provided the information on what is the Angular directive to render this markup properly. And so in the website, let's go there. In the website, so it took this markup, but also loaded the Angular directive, and we see it working. Yeah. This is actually I found it very useful feature, and addition to this CSS package which we extended. Then another thing. Yeah. So as we wanted this style guide to be in practice, we wanted this website, the generated website, to be a very good development playground. And so we provided some features to encourage developers to start develop from the style guide. So let's see. Okay, let's go back to these moleculars. Okay, and then if I go to code, and let us change something. For example, like let us, and this is for label, okay, let us change the color. Okay, I saved, and the tool watches the changes and it refreshes the website automatically. And what I've changed, it should be somewhere here. Oh yeah, this one. Yeah. So this color got red. Yeah. Then we have another nice feature. So let's see here. There is this nice button, Designer Tools. So if we open it, we can see the list of used variables and their values. And these variables, they are taken only from the current component. If I scroll down, it will change. This is because it wouldn't be useful to have all the variables. It is possible, but for bigger systems, it's usually not very useful. Okay, so there is a related variable feature here. Also, they are editable. For example, I can change this color. Let's say to green. Yeah. Then I save changes. And again, the website refreshes, and you can see that that's green. And if I go back to code, for example, here, and I can see that these are the changes have been provided into the exact source files. Not here, in the variables. So, well, here it is. So this is very good for like non-technical guys to polish the components. You can sit together and change the values, not only colors but also paddings and so on. Yeah, and after that you can someone can commit these changes. Then if you click here, we can see all the components where this variable was used. It's possible because we are using a real parser to parse CSS. This is a different story, but this is very interesting that we also got this wisdom of no regular expressions, and we are using parser. I can tell this story later. So we are now focused on all the variables which are using these, all the components which are using this change variable. And this is very good for testing because we can focus only on what we have changed. Another thing is, let's close this search thing. For example, it searches through the CSS, through the styles, and through the documentation as well. For example, we can find all the components where we were using our inputs. And if we have changed the input, we can see where it is, what we have affected. Yeah, also very good for testing. So then, okay, this is how we use it in practice. For example, at our clients, they have this library of components, and it's shared among teams. And this is where Tube helps us, because we wanted to be it as easy as possible so that everyone would be encouraged to contribute. We cannot push people to do that. We only can help them in difficult areas. And so they do it. They do contribute with pull requests. And our client says that they are 25% faster. I actually have no idea how they managed to measure it. But this is the feedback from them. So, summing it up, with this tool, with this living style guide, we get the overview of user interface. It's very good for quick manual testing. Then you're focused on one component only. And we have a pre-given kit to develop a web interface, like new pages. And unit tests for UI are possible now, because then having versioned library, we can compare two screenshots and see if padding is wrong or border is missing. It can be done automatically. And another thing is that it really helps cross-team communication, because like the designer-developer communication, the guys are really at the same page. Literally, because they are looking at the same website and they know what's implemented and how it's implemented. And of course, it's a documentation, and so it really helps to remote teams. And the aim goal, the main goal we are achieving is to create this style guide-driven mindset, so that before, developers were thinking, what's markup I'm creating, what JavaScript I needed. And now we are still in process. We are trying to switch this mindset. But the goal is so that people would see the components right directly in the drawings. So they would think, like, what are the modules I need? So that's it. Thank you very much. These are the slides.